I'm just trying to go and kick it with the homie Tyree.
Yeah, I fucked that up the last episode. I ain't clapped. And then everything's all off. It should be good.
I was like, yo, your table's falling. I'm like, oh wait, that's my table.
All right, guys, we are back. I'm here with RJ the Magic Can.
Magician.
No, you can find him on Instagram as RJ the Magic Can.
Magician was taken.
So, I know you did an interview or you were on a panel for the NPR.
Yeah.
How did you get that? I'm trying to think of the word. How did you get that? I'm just gonna say, how did you get that opportunity, and how did you like it? What did you talk about and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, they called me, and I think they saw, like, honestly, they saw me in the Times, and it's like, I'm very, like, press-oriented, so what that means is, like, I do things, I send out what's called a press release, so if you're trying to get, like, attention for anything that you're doing, whether it's, like, singing, dancing, acting, like, you typically have, like, someone that sends out press releases for you, even if you're small, and that's, like, saying what you're going to do and where, so people can, like, read it in the news or the newspapers, and they decide whether or not, like, to print it, so it's, like... Oh, NPR. I was like, how did I get on this subject? Yeah. So if you're like someone that's like small, you can like do whatever you want. So like, for instance, one thing that you might have seen is like that bakery in Texas or something. I don't even know where they are. That's making like cookies and they're coloring them blue and red for Republican and Democrat states. And it made it on like Now This.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is this a story? But you can like do anything. You could be like, yo, I'm gonna like do magic for homeless puppies, and you could do it if you want, and the newspaper would probably pick it up. So it's like something like that. If you get something big, it's just people just keep seeing it, especially when like it's Black History Month, and I really like magic, and I work at Complex, and I want to do something with Black magicians for some reason. Let me Google it. I'm like the only one that pops up. So that's why it's important to get your like keywords in something that you get in like an article or an interview. So when someone looks for something specific, you can get it, and then you'll hear about shit. You know.
How did you like that experience, and what did you really talk about?
It was good. It was weird because it was live, but it was also on camera and it was also on a stage. So it was like it's in New York, it can be a weird audience because you can get a bunch of people that love entertainment, but they don't like to laugh because sometimes it's like not cool depending on where you are. If you're in Brooklyn, sometimes it's not cool to laugh too hard. So it's like, you know, it was kind of that thing where like the audience was a little bit like, it's an academic audience. So they're kind of like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, they weren't like jokes. Super loud or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I need you to be cackling in the background.
Yeah.
You didn't even feel comfortable.
It wasn't good. It wasn't great. It wasn't my best performance. It was pretty good though, but it was a good time. And the interview lasted like an hour, and we talked about women and Black people and entertainment and things like that. So it was really good.
I definitely feel that. That's what's up. We just found out yesterday that Joe Biden won the presidential election. How do you want to see the world go forward from now?
Whoa, that's a hard one.
The tough questions on Kickin It with Tyree.
Well, there's an answer. There's a specific answer that I know I want to give. Give me a minute.
Take your time, bro. It's kind of crazy. Last night, like all those people was out at Washington Square celebrating. It was just like a sigh of relief in a way, but they were talking about it like, I know I listen to a lot of podcasts of people who live in New York.
Yeah.
Like, you ever heard of Andrew Schultz?
I've heard of him vaguely.
He has like one of the biggest podcasts like in the world right now.
Yeah.
And he always talks about how like New York is never dead. You just got to wait for that moment for it to like pop back up.
It's like it was dead because people were inside, but everyone's like, it's a ghost town. I'm like, if ghosts live inside, then I guess it's a ghost town.
Yeah. And then last night I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like there's so many people outside celebrating, and I was like, on every block in Brooklyn, and then we came out here on every block, people were outside playing music, playing "Fuck Donald Trump." That's going to be the number one on Billboard next week, man. At least. If it is, that's going to be historic.
That or whatever you like. But I think to answer your question, what I'd probably like to see is there's so much happiness. And I saw Kamala yesterday with her like silk or satin, like matching 3-piece, like white thing. Did you see that what she was wearing? Yeah. And I was like, oh, please no one shoot her in that. I was like, no, like this is not how the movie ends with her being like, we will survive. I'm like, no, not Kamala. So I was like, I get like nervous because it's like, There's a bunch of people with guns that are ready to not accept the election. You know, what are they going to do if someone was already trying to kill Obama? Like, who wouldn't try to kill Kamala? You know, like, black women have it worse. So it's like, I think that, like, what I'd like to see is the impossible idea that this happiness fades and then the world keeps going. Like, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see this ending with some tragedy that ends this movie that we're, like, in. Because this is definitely going to be a movie that we're going to watch later. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, I don't know if like people can be like, loser, Trump's a loser. It just feels too much like when we do this when we're kids, people are like, something bad's gonna happen to you. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel like we just gotta keep moving forward and we gotta hold them still accountable. Like just because they were voted in, we still gotta hold them accountable.
For sure. And I think that's what Kamala, I just finally understood what she was talking about. Like, it clicked yesterday when she kept saying that this was our democracy being tested, and she keeps quoting that democracy like is a process. It's not like a thing you can attain, because like if people chose to accept that Donald Trump was still president, our democracy is now over. We don't have a democracy. You know, we don't have a democratic, which is like up for the people, of the people, which it was like what it means in like Greek or something. So it's like, it's like something you work towards, which is like super interesting.
Yes, I definitely feel that. And I feel like those are the next, or I feel like she could be in office for the next 12 years.
Kamala?
Yeah.
That's impossible.
I think that, 4, then run. They're going to run her.
Kamala?
Yeah.
See, I think it's going to be a showdown, the ultimate showdown between Michelle Obama and Kamala, because Michelle Obama's gearing up, if you can't tell.
I have not. He said that earlier. Justin said that.
She has a podcast now. Like, she's like, what the odds she just decides to start a podcast as like Trump's about to get kicked out? You know what I mean? And then she's also taking like a shit ton of pictures as a new publicist, a shiny new publicist. She's like really taking you see her in commercials more than Barack. I think she's like planning it.
Yeah, she'll be the first woman.
And she has 2 degrees in law, I think, from 2 Ivy League schools. I think Princeton and Yale.
She got this.
Yeah, Princeton and Yale, and she was the first lady, like, who was like, Hillary couldn't be more qualified.
Way more like involved in it than people know.
Michelle Obama can fix the school lunches of white children. Michelle Obama can fix a lot.
Yeah, Michelle Obama. We went from having chicken nuggets and pizza to only a salad bar.
She single-handedly sold out the whole stock of shake weights. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. What else is weird that's gonna happen? I think Donald Trump Jr. is definitely gonna run. I think it's 100%. I don't know. I have this theory because I don't know if you think about it, like why Trump is doing any of the things that he did. You know, like why he's 77. You know, like he knows he doesn't eat super well. He's obese. He doesn't. Max, he has 20 years if he lives his best life. You know, but in his demographic, the average age of a man in America to die, I think, is 75. So he's past like life expectancy. So like, why is he really doing this? It has to be for his kids.
Yeah,
or something
to set them up with a political career in a way.
Like when have you ever seen like kids acting like they're politicians for their father? Like you never saw.
I think they're more into it than he is.
Yeah.
Because he acts like he doesn't care, and they're like more like they're crackheads, but like they're more into it than he is.
But it's also like the president gets a $300,000 pension after this, and they get unlimited book deals essentially. Like if Trump released something called like "Why I Did It," sells out. So I would buy that. Like not to support Trump, but I would buy it to be like
he's out of debt forever, probably.
Yeah, out of debt forever. When they like establish like like a media company or something like that. When Ivanka runs, they're just keeping their name out. Their reality show will be the highest purchased and highest watched reality show in all time when it comes out in 2022 or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if he just slips away. I don't think he will, but if he's just like, all right, peace out.
All right, peace out.
Let me sign this back deal.
I'm gonna just move to Los Angeles and buy a mansion.
Ratings are ratings.
Keeping Up with the Trumps. That would be the greatest TV show.
It would be something like
Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
It would be something like super intense and lame, like fucking like Trump thrash, like or something like I don't know, destroying America, like something like that.
I definitely feel that. Just moving on, kind of as a magician or pretty much entertainer. I wouldn't call you because you just don't only do.
Entertainer's good, I would say.
You don't only do magic. You're more than that. You do PR. You do all types of stuff.
Yeah.
Podcast
called I Hate Everyone. Check out the podcast.
Damn.
I Hate Everyone.
How you gonna let me get to my question?
Sorry.
Okay. How do you plan on moving forward with your content? I was just about to ask that, like even your podcast and stuff like that, and shout your podcast out.
Oh, see, I'm not a huge content person. People like hit me up all the time. They're like, "Yo, man, love your content." By all the time, I mean more than I would think for what I post. But they're like, "Love your content, bro," and I'm like, I'm not like making content. Like when I like post a story, I just like post like something that's like people are like, "Why is it so long?" I'm like, "It's my story. What else would you post?" Like it's like my day. So it's like I don't really like the podcast. Even I just make it because it's like a diary for me. So it's just like it's all my salty thoughts. So that's why it's called I Hate Everyone. So it's like it's just like mainly for my like to be like, oh, I did think this in 2019. So it's like I hope to be the type of person where I put stuff out and people just like it because it's like they like me, and like those people will come. But I don't aim to get like a certain audience per se. You know what I mean?
And how did you start doing your podcast? And I know I was living with you at the moment, and I would hear you doing it, but
That's funny.
I don't know what kind of like got you to start it.
Okay, I'll tell you the story. I think I told you the story a long time ago. So we were at our old house. We lived together. And one of our roommates who was black had a friend come over who was white. And he was helping her like duct tape her car or something because it was broken.
Yeah, I was there for the story. I was there.
And then she was duct taping her car, and then I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And she goes, "Oh well, this your roommate's gonna help me nigger rig my car." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, he's gonna help me nigger rig my car." And I was like, "You did not just say that to me." I'm like, "You know this. Everyone in this house is black except for that guy that we don't like." and then she was all like, "No, like we say that like we in." Block his name out, my bad. And the other roommate was all like, "I told you not to say that in here."
I told you to keep that to yourself.
So I was like so appalled that this woman saw nothing wrong with this. It's like if my name, it's like she called my name. I was like, "What are you saying?" So then I was like, I just have to tell everyone. And I'm like, who do I tell? And I'm like, how do I do it? And I'm like, I made a podcast, and I was like, this is the first episode, and I did it that night, and I started doing it, and then I tweeted out one day, I was like, man, I hate everyone. Someone's like, name the podcast that, and I was like, that's a great idea. So that's it.
It is a great idea. I think it's definitely gonna, once people catch wind of it.
Maybe. It's mainly for like, it only takes one person, you know what I mean? It takes you to meet, like, through like, just like my travels, I met like, Kate McKinnon's manager is like one of my like kids I used to teach magic to at summer camps, like dad, you know what I mean? Or like I get to meet like I know a bunch of like different Broadway producers or TV agents that I met from people from deals I didn't take or contracts I didn't sign. You know what I mean? If one of these people listens to something and they find something, that could be an episode. It could be I think that show Woke was a podcast.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to have a shit ton of listeners to just be a good idea and someone will find it. But like even so, like I was like, if I host this, my talking skills will get better, and I'm a lot better since like 2 years ago, you know. And
Definitely.
I would not be able to host a show if I like couldn't talk or be dynamic, you know.
I feel like just me having a podcast and stuff like that, it helps me just talk to people, you know, and that's why I started it. I don't really care about like having a podcast and stuff like that, but I care about meeting people and like hearing their stories and stuff like that.
True.
So it's like the more people's stories that I hear, the more I get to like be across from people and meet people. That's all that matters. It's kind of the end goal. So speaking of end goal, kind of where do you see yourself as, let's say, just a man in the future?
I see myself in New York. For sure gonna stay in New York. That's a good question. I have no idea. I haven't thought about that. I've never thought about that. I've always thought about myself as a performer, and yeah, I don't know.
I feel that it's a hard question because I always think about that. Like, where do I want to be?
I would like to be, I guess, like the obvious answer, right? Like in the podcast, I talk about a lot how like you can never measure this, but like probably one of the most important things to me is to be like a very like genuine person that cares about social justice issues. Like it's very easy to like think that you care, and like when you really think about what do I really care about, like it's really like as a man, I think it's important to me to be very conscious of like black issues, but also be like tactful. So like it's important. Like a lot of people yell, and like you can yell, and it does work in a lot of scenarios, but for me it doesn't because I'm too big. So it's like I have to like figure out ways to like, you know, like how do I like be a tactful person. But also like I think my second goal is like specifically with like women, I really want to get better like in terms of being like a better feminist, which I talk about a lot on the podcast also. Because like I say, like one thing I always talk about is I say girls way too much. And like I mean to say women, and I've been called out by like a few times. It's this thing that people like don't really call people out on, but like the one time it happened to me, I was like, "You're not wrong. Like, why do I always call like I'll say like, all right, you see that guy over there? Look at that girl." And like guy is like kind of grown up, and girls always like that. And it's not like a big deal, but it's like it's just affecting how I live my life, like my day to day. Like, do I think that 24-year-old woman is a girl, but this 16-year-old boy is a guy or a man, a young man? You know. So that's like what my main goal. Yeah.
I definitely feel that because. Like women are always kind of, even in like certain words you say towards them, it's kind of like it's a put down word. Like like you making them smaller.
Infantilization, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a thing that's really small, but it's a thing that like affects how you live your whole life if you care about how you talk. And I think it's such an important thing, especially with black women screaming out like, "Why doesn't anyone care about us?" And I'm like, you guys are so right. Like people don't care. So it's like this is like, you know, that black women especially like will tell you if you call them a girl like this, like unless it's like in the phrase "black girl magic," you don't call it, especially an old black woman a girl.
Yeah,
you do not do that.
Are black women.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely feel that, bro. And we're kind of getting close to the 40-minute mark.
Close to the end.
Close to the end. I want you to tell my audience and your audience how they can get in contact with you and what you want to do in the future with.
All right. Well, you can watch out for some stuff that I might be in. I'm in a documentary on the History Channel right now called not the History Channel, Smithsonian Channel called The Curious Life and Death, the episode about Houdini. They can also see something coming out in March 2020 on the History Channel about Houdini. I'll post it on my Instagram at RJ the Magic Can, so you can like follow that and find it. Or the podcast is at I Hate Everyone on the podcast store. So I Hate Everyone. And then maybe you'll see me on TV on demand in my own show in 2021. Potentially, maybe.
Definitely will. And I want to thank you again for doing this. It's a second. We have a third time. And again, I always appreciate you coming out, bro, and always being a friend.
Yeah, but they don't know. They don't know that your first interview that you did, I was like, yo, you should interview me. And you're like, why? And I was like, I don't know. You have no reason to. You're right. But you did it. But we never released it. So this will be a good remake.
This is the remake of it. The camera turned off. The reason I never released it, and I didn't want to like seem like the unprofessional dude. The camera turned off mid through, and I was like,
oh no,
shit.
No, that's funny.
I probably still have like half of it on my hard drive.
Honestly, it wasn't great, and I didn't have enough clout for the interview. But now we're in New York, so maybe one day this will have clout.
One day.
Yeah.
Again, bro, thank you for having us in your apartment. And thank you guys for tuning in to Kicking It with Tyree, and we out.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.